Okay.
We started?
I guess so. I guess we've started.
Feel good religion, or clap your hands, sit around the campfire, kumbaya. You've come to the wrong place. We are dealing with toxic levels of authentic masculinity. I would say good luck, but luck is for pagans.
Welcome to the Catholic Man Show. Had a little technical difficulty this evening
Took 40 minutes.
to get this thing up and running, but
Ridiculous.
we are here. Here we are, live, in your earbuds. Happy to be here.
Sometimes I'd swear computers have free will. Sometimes it
Luckily,
seems that way.
We had some prayer warriors. Margot gave a 1-2 punch of the St. Michael prayer and the Memorare.
You did it.
Yes.
I knew you could do it.
Thanks, man. Adam Minahan here with David Niles
Yo.
in studio. Juan on the buttons. Jim making sure that we don't get
He sits by the door, make sure no punks try to come in.
right.
He'll punk you if you're a punk trying to get in here.
I'm really excited about our whiskey this evening.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, we just got done doing an episode of Catholic Answers Focus.
Indeed.
We talked about drinking. He called it the theology of drinking, I think is what they called the episode. But really, it was just more about
The moderation
of drinking,
yeah.
the virtue of temperance. Had a great time. You should definitely go check that out. You can go to Catholic Answers Focus as a podcast.
May I?
Yes, please. This evening. So anyway, I say that to let everybody know.
This is a nice bottle.
if
Like
this
the
is-
bottle itself is thick,
Mm-hmm.
nice.
I say that though. I tell you about Catholic Answers Focus because if this is your first time listening to the episode and you're like, why are these guys drinking? We pour Juan and Jim a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just being selfish.
Guys,
I'm
you can
sorry.
You can go check out that episode because we talk all about it on that episode. But this evening we're drinking the Macallan Hyland single malt Scotch whiskey, 12-year-old triple cask matured.
Oh, triple cask. I keep calling it the Triple Crown, but that's a totally different thing.
Yes, it's an exquisite marriage of whiskey matured in European and American sherry seasoned oak casks and ex-bourbon American oak casks. So let's try this. They actually have the notes on the back, which I appreciate. I appreciate scotches that have their own tasting notes on the box.
Right. That way I know what I'm supposed to be tasting.
At least what they're wanting us to taste.
Right.
So let's try it. We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
Cheers to Jesus.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So the color, it says rich straw, not poor straw, but rich straw. The aroma complex with hints of vanilla, melon, and lemon zest. The palate is a medium balanced with lemon citrus, vanilla, and light toasted oak and nutmeg. And the finish is lingering with melon, papaya, fresh oak, and oak spice.
Wow, that's really good.
Well, the Macallan is typically a
they're
really good scotch.
I mean, they are good, but that has that's got a lot of flavor.
The nose does catch a lot of the melon and lemon.
That is not your standard Hyland whiskey right there. I don't mean to put down Hyland whiskeys. That's not what I'm trying to do. But like that is up front with the flavor. Juan says it has a long finish. Let me see.
I wouldn't say it has a long finish.
Juan, I'll be
Maybe
the
like
judge. I'll be the judge of that.
It is really good. The 43% alcohol ABV.
No, I think it has a good finish, Juan.
It does have a good finish.
Yeah. Don't try to be on everybody's team now, Adam, when you clearly...
I just said it didn't have a long finish.
Yeah.
I said it has a good finish.
Look, you can't play both sides of the...
I'm not at all.
Adam.
Pick a side.
Pick a side.
I think it has a medium length finish.
Medium, no longer.
So yeah, I enjoyed it. So I picked this whiskey out because it's because of our topic today.
Because it has a blue box.
A blue box.
Right. That's exactly why you picked it.
Because it
Doing
has,
this for you, Mary.
because it is the color of Mary.
Whenever I wear blue to the office, like if I wear a blue shirt, I always do it for Mary. Like, doesn't matter if it's a Marian feast day or not. It's like, if I'm wearing blue, it's for her.
I like that.
Secretly to myself, this
is what it is.
That's why.
I like it.
Yeah. If you know what, it feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of those things that like really puffs up my secret sense of superiority. Like, I am such a good Catholic.
Like, I wear the color blue intentionally for Mary.
And it's because I am such a good Catholic.
Right. And I'm being intentional about it.
Yeah. No, other people don't do this.
Right.
It's just me.
Just me and you, Mary.
I'm special.
So let me ask you this. I was thinking about this. I was listening to another podcast. I wish I could remember which one it was. I don't remember. But they were talking about their struggles in faith, in their faith life. And so I thought that would make a good conversation for us as we were sipped on whiskey on the first segment to just talk about maybe, like, what do you struggle with in your faith life right now?
You asked me this question earlier, and I was going to think about it, and then I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, there have been times or moments where, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, where you experience fear when you're maybe discerning something, or like having those prayers where you're saying, God, I want to do whatever you want to do. Anything you ask me to do, I will do it. But then you realize that's kind of, what if he asks me to do this?
That's something I'm not comfortable with.
Right. And so, I've had those moments before, and I've just had to like double down on prayer and say, God, I'm afraid that if I really give you my will, you're going to ask me to do this one thing. And I'm afraid of you asking me to do that. So I want to, I want to give you that fear that I have. And I know that you are a perfectly loving Father, and me coming to you right now, like telling you, Dad, I'm afraid of this. You are going to make it. So either you're not going to ask me to do it, or if you do ask me to do it, you're going to do it. Just like if one of my kids came up to me, and if, in fact, that's happened before. It happens a lot, where one of my girls will say, like, I'm afraid to do this, and I'll have to tell them, like, look, there is not, like, I'm right here. This is not going to hurt you. I promise you. Right. And so and I'll hold their hand and walk them through it and encourage them, and so that they're not afraid anymore. So if I do that for my kids, how much greater is God? So when I have those moments of fear, that's what I do, and really it totally makes the fear totally go away.
Nice.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah,
I wish I would do that more. It's funny that you say that, because that's what I'm struggling with right now, is this idea of if I give God my will, what is he going to ask me to do?
Right. Ask me. And it's like, ask me to do anything great. Ask me to do, I'll quit my job. I'll move across it's like, what you could name big things. And I don't want to do any of those things, but
yeah, I definitely see that. That's one of my things, is that I struggle. Like, I have a really good job right now. It provides very well for my family. It gives me the freedom. I enjoy the people I work with. But in the back of my mind, I keep thinking about, like, should I be going into ministry? Should I go into helping the diocese, or should I do something for the church, for a full-time job? And I try to balance this balancing act of, well, is that really something that I should, is that a prudent thing? Because obviously I would take a pay cut from what I'm doing right now. Yeah. And then I think, well, is that the reason why I don't want to do it? It's just because of the pay cut? Is because it's going to hurt a little bit, and I'm going to have to sacrifice some? Yeah. Is that what I'm scared of? Am I scared of sacrificing, some of the material goods that I have, and some of the luxuries and comfort that I have right now, because I don't want to do the Lord's work? And I have the security in my job right now, and I wouldn't if I got out of that job. And then I think, well, maybe that is, I don't know. And so the worst thing you want to do, on your day of judgment is Christ said, I had big plans for you, and I asked you to do this, and you didn't do it. Yeah. So the thing with me is that God knows that I'm really stupid. And so if he was going to ask me to do that, he'd have to be real obvious. It's also, I'm Polish. So, you just have to be real clear with me. Okay. That's an old Polish joke, like,
Oh, I forgot you're Polish. Let me tell it again. I'll go slower this time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I can say that because I'm Polish.
I see. But yeah, I do struggle with that.
But if you say it, I'm going to say that you're making fun of my mom. Okay?
Okay, I won't do that because I love Mrs. Niles.
Me too.
But I struggle with that because I'm good at certain things that I think the church really needs. Especially with our radio station, things that we've done on the radio station, things we've done with the Catholic Man Show, have been a lot of legwork that you and I have put in, and I think that I could bring that to the church in a diocesan form or a ministry form of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's just something that I've been struggling with that for like over a year. Not struggling with it, but that's something that I guess would
wrestling
be a fear.
with it, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's just something like I don't think God's wanting me to do that, or is He? And I'm just not willing to sacrifice my comfort.
Yeah, I know. And everybody's got, I think, that thing. Whatever, something that they wonder about. And you just have to pray about it and ask God to make it very obvious.
Mm-hmm.
I think, other people are better at discerning God's will than I am. I think I'm terrible at it. I wish I were better. It's like I've told God, look, I don't actually like my free will that much. It's like an awesome gift. Thank you. But can you have it? Like,
I just want to give it to you.
I feel like I'd be better off if you took this back.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I'm
Which
okay
is why
with
you
it.
consecrated yourself to Mary.
Right. But I still have this free will thing, and it's constantly causing problems for me.
Yeah. I think that I just continue going knowing that the Lord is going to find the one, leave the 99 to find the one, and so I'm hoping that if I'm the one, he's gonna find me. So we'll continue this on the other side. We'll be right back.
Very soft.
Now the rest of it'll be a different track. So don't worry about adjusting the volume because now you're gonna remember we use a different one for the intro. The first segment.
Ready?
So we're talking about Rosary. We're talking about Rosary stuff.
Okay. That sounds great. I love talking about the Rosary.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Rosary. Yeah, let's go on whenever you're ready.
Are you going to talk about like other prayers you can pray with the Rosary?
Hey Jim, Kathy Nunick's talking to you. I don't know if you saw that. Oh, you saw it. You're right there.
Yeah, he's sitting here.
She's talking to you, though.
She says, "Hi, Jim."
Like the Divine Mercy.
Chaplet or
Make these guys aware.
anything else.
Yeah, we can do that.
Because
How do you say it?
sometimes that's a good.
You can use your.
You can hear me now.
Oh.
It's not plugged in. See?
Oh. That's
How
fine.
do you say it in Spanish?
Español.
Español.
¿Cómo se dice Spanish and Espanol?
Español.
Espanol.
Español. You have to
No,
say it.
up at the top, the blue box.
Espanol.
Up there.
Plug it in. Plug it in.
There? No. I need a converter. Anyway.
It's
Sometimes
okay.
That can be a good.
Oh, you got to plug it in on the back side. It goes in the back. But you don't have another one. You got to have a small one. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it, Juan. It's okay.
Anyway.
We can still hear you.
I'm actually just like right here. I can hear you.
The Chaplet of Mercy is something that even a Protestant can pray and feel very comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
So if the Rosary itself is intimidating for them, you can be like, well, this is other prayer you can pray with.
Yeah.
I like that one. We will definitely touch base on that unless we completely forget.
Yeah, which is possible. You sure my eye isn't red?
Let me see.
It's hurting.
No.
This
You
eye.
should have offered up. Stop talking
this
about it.
side of this
You
eye
should have stopped talking about it and just offered up for this episode.
feels like.
Is some of the chip dust on the mic?
No, it's been like that for many hours.
Ready? Offer it up.
That would
I just
be
need to get-
that would be the
I
worst.
think I need sleep. Oh my god.
If you
Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I'm David Niles here with Adam Minahan. We're drinking some good whiskey today. It's a Macallan, so
in honor of Our Lady.
you know it's good. It's even
The seat of wisdom.
seat of wisdom. You know what my favorite title for Mary is? Wider than the heavens.
Mine's Virgin Most Powerful
Yeah, that's a good one.
because
She is pretty powerful.
I'm a member of the Auxilium Christian Orum.
Are you doing it now?
Yeah,
High five.
I've been doing it since
Since we did the episode?
Since we did the episode.
Oh, nice.
yeah.
What do you think?
I
Have
st-
you
I-
had any changes spiritually? It's hard to say because, spiritual things are gradual.
You
Very few spiritual things are like,
Yeah.
boom, I did this, and then...
If you don't know what we're talking about, you should go back, go to thecatholicmanshow.com and you can check out, just type in Auxiliary Christian Orum and you'll be able to find it. But I haven't necessarily noticed anything different other than dryness in prayer.
Welcome.
Yeah. It's just like, I feel like that I'm just mechanical mind. I'm
Nice.
just like, this is just like, I have to do that. It's like, almost like I'm praying just to check the box,
Yep.
Just because,
Sandpaper on the forehead.
yeah.
That's all I get.
Yeah. Just, so,
What a gift.
yeah. So I'm just
Not for you. It's not for you.
chugging along over here.
Gift for him.
Yeah. I'm doing it because I love the Lord, not because I get a spiritual cookie out of the gig.
Right. Yeah. And it's good for your family.
Yes. It's such a great protection for
Because that's
your
like,
family.
it's specific in the prayers, but covering you and your family
And the members of
in the blood of Christ.
Yeah, and the members of the Christian Orum.
Like today's prayers, Lord Jesus Christ, we pray that thou would cover us, our families, and all of our possessions with thy love and thy most precious blood. Surround us with thy heavenly angels, saints, and the mantle of our blessed mother. Amen. That's a sweet prayer. That's just the one for Monday.
Yeah,
On top
I
of-
haven't come close to memorizing, but they have a app that is super
Yeah.
easy.
Well, when you do it for like 10 years,
Right.
you'll have it all memorized.
Yeah. So speaking of prayer, we're talking
Yeah.
about the Rosary today.
Totally. For obvious reasons.
Yes.
And in case those reasons are not obvious, it's because today is the feast of Our Lady of the Rosary.
Yes.
That's why we're talking about the Rosary today. We have done a Rosary as a man gear before. So we want to expand on that. Adam, let me ask you this. What is a Rosary?
It's
Is
a
it-
weapon.
Is that the Rosary?
It's a weapon.
Or are those Rosary beads?
Well, the Rosary is a set of prayers.
What is the Rosary?
It's a set of-
That's really what
It's a set of prayers.
yeah. That's kind of what I think. We all call that a Rosary. I mean, that's what we all
That's
what
what
I'll
it
say.
is.
But like the Rosary are prayers. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's not the beads, even though that is sacramental. And that I believe that yours is probably blessed, so it's
that is correct.
it's
Old right. #old right.
Sweet. So it's good to use that when you're praying the Rosary because by pious devotion to those blessed items, we can obtain grace.
Mm-hmm. I want to throw some traffic over to thecatholicwoodworker.com. If you want a good Rosary, before I forget, go to the Catholic
like that one.
like
You could
this
go
one.
get that Rosary. It's
It actually has a Catholic Man Show
he's
medal.
got it in bronze and silver
Yeah.
for the centerpieces.
Yeah. So anyway, you can go to thecatholicwoodworker.com.
All kinds of different crosses and everything he has. All the stuff is
High
like
quality.
he has taken many pains. Like he studies these crucifixes. That's his world. That's his world right there. Is nice crucifixes and stuff.
So okay. So when do you normally pray? When do you normally pray the Rosary, Dave?
I will tell you that I normally pray the Rosary in the car. Because if I don't, I know that I will end up not praying a Rosary, or it'll be the end of the night and I'll just fall asleep trying to pray the Rosary. So I pray either in the car, like I have adoration on Monday and Friday, so if I'm going to adoration, I'll pray the Rosary in front of the Blessed Sacrament. But other than that, it's in the car.
Do you ever feel like whenever you're in adoration that it's like I have to get through all these prayers before the end of the hour?
No.
Man, there's sometimes where I feel like that, and then I heard a holy priest say this one time. He said, "If the Rosary leads you to a deeper meditation in something else, stop praying the Rosary and welcome into that meditation."
So for me, the problem with the Rosary is that it always leads to deeper meditations on something else. And that's the thing.
It's
something else.
It's not a prayer. It's
right.
Something else.
Today, I was praying. I had adoration today. It's Monday. I think it was like I realized at the end of one decade, it's like I've been thinking about fantasy football.
Well, you whooped me
And
this
how
week.
I was destroying Adam this week by a huge margin.
Yeah, you did.
It was not even close.
No, my guys did not. I gave a great opening speech. Halftime speech was great, and I can only put my players to win, and they have to do the rest.
All you can do is put them in the right place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But to be fair, I would have destroyed anybody in the league this week. I put up over 160 points.
Yeah.
It felt good. I'm not going to lie. But anyway, that is like a real thing. Here's a real example of something.
Okay, I want to ask you. I want to get.
I think I can make it about our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, and I'm gone.
Okay, so how do you meditate? Like, let's get real here. How do you actually meditate? Like, how do you do that when you're talking about the mystery of the? Okay, so it's the Annunciation. What are you thinking about as you're praying the Hail Mary? If you're trying to meditate,
what I attempt to do in my ideal world
Yes.
that
you strive for.
that has never happened,
Okay.
except for like a couple times when I was clearly receiving a special grace. I've had a couple rosaries where I was actually like able to concentrate on the mysteries the whole time, and I remember like thinking, "This is awesome."
Okay, let's hear it.
I will announce the rosary. So like today, I would say the first mystery of the rosary is the Annunciation of the angel Gabriel to Mary. The fruit of the mystery is humility.
Mm-hmm.
And then before I start the Our Father, I try to picture angel Gabriel like kneeling down before Mary. Put myself in the scene.
Okay.
This is just what I try to do. I'll tell you, for me, it has very little like actual effect because I get so distracted.
Right.
I've always had ADD. I don't like using
I
that
don't
as
think
an
anybody
excuse.
believes that. I don't think anybody
Right.
believes that.
Right. But anyway, so then I try to say the Our Father. When I say the Our Father, I try to actually like really think about the words, and I don't try to rush the Our Father, even though most of the time I do. I don't try to. It's just what ends up happening, and so like when I say, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Is there anybody that I need to forgive? Because if I'm not, like, I want to make sure I get forgiven. Okay.
I'm selfishly forgiving you so I can get forgiven.
Right. Okay. You're forgiven. Because it's about me. But to tell you the truth, most of the time when I'm trying to think about the words, I don't make it through the Our Father. I just don't.
Okay, but
I want to.
So now you're in your Hail Marys. What are you meditating on? How do you do it?
I'm just saying the words of the Hail Mary, trying to like play out the scene in my head.
Yeah.
So like when I get to the sorrowful mysteries, typically now that I've seen the Passion of the Christ, those tend to be the images that come to my mind.
Right.
Which is, I think that's fine, but they're very well depicted. So,
So like,
Yeah.
So let's just take the second joyful mystery, the Visitation.
yeah.
I tried to think about, okay, Mary's sitting here. She just found out she's pregnant with the mother, with the Son of God. She's the mother of God, and yet her first thought was, I need to go help somebody else. And so I try to think of, okay, here's what she's doing. How do I do that better in my life? And then I picture like all the struggles that she had to be, the being uncomfortable, being tired, and yet she's still thinking about other people like Saint Elizabeth, and like she gets there, and her voice makes she's
like, hello.
and Saint John's like bouncing around in her womb, recognizing that the mother, or the Savior of the world is upon him, and the Mother of God is speaking to him.
Yeah.
And I just tried to seriously, like, I'm in the scene. What does the ground feel like on my feet? Is the wind blowing? Is the sun beating down?
Right.
Like I just really try to put myself in that scene. Like, what is she actually saying to Elizabeth? How is Elizabeth reacting? What's Elizabeth's face look like? When she sees the Mother of God approaching her.
Yeah.
And she's super pregnant. And like how relieved she has to feel, and the joy that she has to have, and I that's what I try to do for each mystery.
Yeah.
The easiest one to put yourself into the scene, I think, is the sorrowful mysteries. Can I also talk about the luminous mysteries for just a second?
Yeah.
I think because
People hate on the luminous mysteries. Like,
and I've heard all of the reasons for people hating on the
I
luminous
don't buy
mysteries.
any of them.
I don't either, because let me tell you something. If you are trying to tell me that we as Catholics should not be meditating on family, We shouldn't be meditating on the Eucharist.
Or just the life of Christ. You can
right now, yeah, but especially like so many people don't believe in the real presence of the Eucharist.
Right. And I've heard some people say, "Oh, well, they're not indulgenced." Yes, they are. I have the Handbook of Indulgences. They are indulgenced. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's in there. If you don't have the book, go get it.
I think that it would help us to actually meditate on the on family, on the Eucharist.
Lately, my favorite mysteries to meditate on are the transportation mysteries. Yeah. Some people call them the glorious, but it's really they're all about just like, oh well, I was over here and then I moved over there. It's like Jesus. He rose from the dead, then he ascended, and then the Holy Spirit descended. The Holy Spirit came down, and then Mary went up.
Yeah,
it's just about like people moving around.
And then she like got crowned.
It's like this is the most mysterious movement I have ever seen.
I do like it though, because the last two are like all about Mary.
Mary.
Yeah. So when we get back, we're going to talk about the Battle of Lepanto, which will make sense if you do not know what that is. Why we talked about the Rosary.
Yeah, it's today. It's the feast day.
Yeah, so go buy yourself a rosary if you don't have one. Men should always carry a rosary with them and pray it.
Yes.
Keep it on your left pocket.
The time. I have mine in my pocket right now.
We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
Nobody told me that.
It's because you keep your sword on your left side.
Yeah.
It's your weapon.
It's your weapon. Yeah. The left side, the reason why you do it is because, in battle you keep your sword and sheath on the left-hand side because you're right-handed, you pull your sword out. So keep it on the left side because it's your weapon.
Is that T-shirt that he's wearing on the website?
Yes. Yes.
Si, senor.
I'm trying, I have not been able to do it yet just because I haven't had the opportunity, but I'm going to buy some of all of our shirts that we have because we have a bunch of shirts right now. I don't know if you know that. We have a ton of shirts right now. You can go to thecatholicmanshow.com and check out T-shirts. But I'm going to try to get some of every kind printed here in Tulsa, not just on Teespring, because I think you can probably get it cheaper locally.
Same shirts, yeah.
So
Margot says she puts her rosary in her right pocket. I didn't even know girls had pockets.
Of course they do.
Do they?
I don't know. I acted like I knew. I don't.
Is she left-handed?
Oh yeah, if you're left-handed, you could put it on your other pocket. That's true. Because it's really your offhand.
How do you want to go about the topic? It doesn't matter. I'm just gonna let you do it.
We're going to start. I have some things underlined here.
We should start with the beginning.
It's a very good place to start.
Typically.
Yeah.
Unless you're like Tarantino and you want to start at the end and then flip it back.
Right.
Tarantino, that's why he made so much money, is because he started from the end and then...
We're going to start with Vice.
Okay.
Yeah. Really
interesting.
The Battle of Lepanto, there's a backstory, to set the context, and then there's backstory for that to set the context. There's a pretext for the context. Is that right? What is a pretext? If you're saying this is a pretext, is that the same thing as let me give you some context?
Sure.
Same thing? Okay. So, but I'm going to start with a little bit of context.
Okay.
Not the context for the context, yeah.
Not.
Even though it is.
I wouldn't say this far, but maybe this.
Right,
far.
yeah. So if in country terms, if it's well, how far away is it? It's about that far. But if it's further, you got to aim higher. It's because if you're just going about a mile, but if you're going about 5 miles, you got to aim because of the trajectory.
Mm. Are we gonna read the poem?
No.
Okay.
I did read it today. I mean, it takes
so awesome.
Takes 10 minutes.
Yeah,
to read.
It does take a long time.
People should go read it. They should read it.
We should promote it on the extra show. Juan, let's get going. Are you ready, buddy? Juan.
It's in one text.
Oh, Juan has to send.
Oh, he's texting.
Everybody, hold on.
Oh.
Everybody, hold on.
Okay.
Juan has to text.
He's got to send a text.
So Dr. Malosh has a favorite depiction of an artist that does the Battle of Lepanto.
There are a lot of them, and they're all havoc. Like every single
chaotic.
one is just
Yeah.
like.
I'm trying to find out which one is the one he recommends, so you look it up.
Okay.
Meanwhile, your mom sent a message.
Oh, I better see it. It's my mom.
Under David Nas.
Oh, she said, in Latin, right is dexter,
Yeah, yeah,
left is sinister.
yeah. So your left hand is your sinister hand. Your right hand is So if you talk about dexterity, it's.
I thought she was talking about Dexter, like the show.
No. Like
I'm just joking. That was a joke.
so, like you have dexterity. You actually don't have dexterity with your right hand. You have sincerity with your left hand. Your right hand is dexter. Your left hand is sinister.
Okay, ready?
I'm sure
I
there's.
call my left hand a good jab. That's what I call my left hand.
Yeah. Sinister misses the mark.
Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. Just got done talking about the Rosary.
Chugging some whiskey over here.
I am not chugging whiskey. That would not be prudent. Nor
It just
temperate.
looked that way because you like
No, I
put it down quickly because you were
Because
in a hurry, as if you had just chugged it. Like,
No, I just forgot that it was my turn
I know.
to bring us back in. So we're talking about the Battle of Lepanto today.
Lepanto.
If you have not listened to Battle of Vienna with Father Sean Donovan when we talked about the Winged Hussars,
Go do so after this one because this is the one that came first.
yes, but it's really good.
So this is the context for you to hear the other one. You don't really need context for the other one because
Because Father Sean Donovan was on and he gave you everything
right,
you
it was
needed
fine.
to know.
It was good.
If you didn't get
It's
it,
okay. The other one stands alone, people.
right?
But this will fill you in
Okay,
on some other things
let's
that took
do this.
place.
The Battle of Lepanto.
Okay. So everybody knows about the Crusades.
Okay,
It's the Muslims versus the Christians. The Muslims are like, hey, look,
can you do this in Turk, please?
I can, but it's like, it's not our audience. I'm trying to speak to our audience,
Okay,
Adam.
I'm sorry.
Okay?
You're
I mean-
right.
I mean,
You're
I
right.
basically can.
Right. You're right.
They're like, hey, look, I know that's your country and all, but we really want it.
Mm-hmm.
And we really don't care about you, so we're just going to kill you and take it. Or you can convert. Those are your choices. And then the Christians were like, no, like that's not cool. And so they fought each other a bunch of times. This is one of those times.
Okay. This is really good.
Okay, there's this cool battle. There's this Muslim dude. I don't remember his name. Their names are hard for me to remember. They're very foreign to me. And this dude was like, oh, let's go take this island, the island of
It's a
Malta.
sultan. It's a sultan. The sultan at the time.
Yes,
Because he was the reason why he wanted to take that island is because he's
no. You're talking about this dude's son.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
This
Continue.
is the dude that you're talking about. His dad.
Okay.
He was like, let's go to Malta, and there's like less than 1,000 people on the island of Malta, knights, and they held him off. They like killed 40,000 Muslims trying to lay siege to this island. So anyway, that is what put Malta on the map. Okay, this dude, and this guy was like a big time warrior. He had conquered almost everything he'd ever done. Well, he ended up dying in that battle. So his son was going to take the
reins.
He got crowned. His son was Selim II.
Okay. And he was the sultan that was he really liked wine.
Correct.
He was a big wine guy.
Big wineophile. He was nicknamed. So, full disclosure, I'm basically ripping off other people's material. That's what we're going to do all night.
Okay.
This comes from Christopher Check. He wrote this great article called "The Battle That Saved the Christian West."
Catholic Answers what?
Right, and he's a good historian. Also, there's like YouTube videos that I watched. Okay, I'm not a historian. I
don't think anybody thought you were. So your disclaimers noted,
like,
but continue.
I'm plagiarizing.
Okay.
Okay. I might even be directly quoting other people, but I just have it all in my notes. I don't remember who said what. Okay. Anyway, who cares? It's all history. This is what Selim, he was nicknamed the Sot. This Christopher Check says his enthusiasms were for wine, his extraordinarily deviant sexual appetite, wine, poetry, and wine.
Okay.
So this dude liked to drink wine.
Yes.
His favorite wine came from the island of Cyprus, okay, which is a very, very, very small island. Somehow, Vienna claimed Cyprus. Okay, so there's Turkey here. Right underneath Turkey is the sea. Okay, Cyprus is over here. Vienna is like way the heck over here. It's like part of Italy. It's not even close.
No one can see this. It's
If you're on the radio or podcast, like pull up a map.
okay,
You got your
continue.
phone. Anyway, the point is that they're a long way away.
Okay.
And Selim is like, I don't like paying those infidel dogs for this wine. It's like this island is like right here next to my country. I should just get to keep it. Okay. But he couldn't attack them because Turkey and Venice, had a peace treaty. Okay, that had been sworn to on the Quran. So now this Selim dude, he has an obligation to Allah to maintain peace. Well, he didn't really like that. He wanted to come up with an excuse to break the treaty. So he issued a fatwa. Fatwa. It's just
Okay.
a super funny word. Which is basically a religious edict saying that I don't really care who owns the land. Basically, if a land has ever been conquered by Islam in the past, we have a duty
To recapture
to
it.
restore it to Islam.
Okay.
And so he used this as like he's like not
His
only is it okay for me to attack this island, I have a duty to do it. I must do it and break the peace treaty. So he does. He sends some people. This is like a small island, very far away from its home country. So, by the time they could send word and come back, like it was kind of too late. They'd been taken over. So he sent an army to go conquer the island. And then in July 1570, they landed in Nicosia, which is the capital, and they placed it under siege. The dude's name was Lala.
Okay.
Lala Mustafa.
Okay.
It's just so funny.
Okay.
He's living in La La Land. But so he gets there. He tells the people, like, hey, look, if you surrender, I promise not to kill any of you guys. We'll let the soldiers go back to the mainland, and all the citizens can keep their country and their lands. And they're like, okay,
That's a good deal.
okay, we'll do it.
Turns out though he lied.
Yeah, the thing about Lala is that he's a liar.
Right.
Okay. So because they were infidels, Islam says, like, you don't really have to tell them the truth. You're allowed to lie. And so this is a tenet of Islam, that you can lie to an infidel. You can say whatever you want as long as it's to advance Islam. So that's what he did. And basically he tortured. He didn't just kill them all. He tortured them first and then massacred about 2,000. No. He massacred almost all the citizens of that country, of that town. Except for 2,000. He did save about 2,000
Weren't they children?
boys
Mainly children?
and girls, and sent them back to be sex slaves in Turkey. So then they turned to the city of Famagusta.
Okay.
That's kind of a funny name. That's just, weird Cyprus name, but which was ruled by a guy named Mark Antonio Bragadino.
I like Bragadino.
Bragadino, that's a pretty sweet word. Pretty sweet name. They were able to withstand the siege for over a year with
Golly, I
only
couldn't-
8,000 soldiers.
Couldn't imagine having to do that.
So, I mean, like, the Muslim armies are like, bombing their wall. They had a wall. And so for a year.
they were under siege.
Yeah. Finally, a large section of the wall fell. And once again, he said, all right, yeah, we will. They surrendered under terms. But they went, big surprise, they went back on their word. The dude, Mark Antonio, was brought to like the leader, and the leader's like, hey, I want you to leave your page here with me as hostage while we let you guys go back to the mainland. And they were like, no, like that, we already actually agreed to the terms. That's not part of the terms. So they took that dude. They were not nice to the Bragadino dude, okay?
Didn't they like fillet him?
Yeah. So they cut off his nose and his ears, and then so he didn't bleed to death, they cauterized his nose and ears shut.
Oh man.
And then they like threw poop at him and stuff, but then they tied him to a pillar and skinned him alive. And he didn't die until they got to like his belly button. Then they took his skin and stuffed it with straw and turned him into like a puppet, like a scarecrow kind of, and tied his body, his stuffed straw body, to the mast of one of their ships, and it ended up going into battle that way, because he was like the leader of this place. It was like super messed up. So finally, about a year in the next year, March 1571, Pope Pius V signed a treaty creating the Holy League.
Yes, this is when it gets good.
Okay, so Europe was not in a good place. So this is about 50 years after the heresy of Protestantism was, like that was in the early 1500s, like 1505 or something. So you don't think so?
No, but
it was around very close to the year 1500.
Okay,
right? Yeah, it's very close to the year 1500. So Europe, which used to be united, is now divided in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so those divisions have even created divisions among Catholics. So you've got the French, who are a good Catholic country, supporting the Ottomans. Okay, Vienna had they had this peace treaty with the Turks. So they had been selling them. They had been doing a lot of trade, and it was really good for their economy. And France saw that, and they wanted in on this, especially after the Turks took Cyprus. I mean, that was it's like, what the heck, guys? They wanted to, at first, they weren't even sure if they were going to send this while they're under siege for a year. Those people, they weren't even sure if they were going to go help them. Because like, you know what, let's just let them have that island, and then we can get back to doing business. It'll be good for our economy.
Okay.
Well, so France, they start doing it too, and they want to start selling stuff to the Turks. So they're supplying them with arms against their other Christians. So that's just a good example of how divided Europe was at the time. And so this is not good. The Holy League is going to help fix that.
Thank you to Pius V.
Pius V. Pope St. Pius V.
Yes. All right, so when we get back, we're going to invoke the Holy League and finish this story. We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
And you're right, it was 1517 for the Protestant.
Okay.
Yeah, you said 1504 or something. And
I said 1505.
Or 1505. It just didn't sound right. Like,
yeah.
That was like...
1517?
I mean, right around there.
Yeah.
Okay. Give or take a decade.
Yeah.
Hey.
That's not... Just a blink of an eye in God's eyes.
Right. Or less.
Or less. I like that.
It's a...
Yeah. About that far.
I'm ready.
Stop saying that the names are funny.
I know, like every single time you bring up... every time you bring up
so we got a guy
name,
named Lala.
Every time we bring up a name or a... Would you like more? Every time you bring up a name
as soon as
or a
there
country,
stop being funny names involved, I will stop saying that's a funny name.
Okay.
Bragadino? That's a funny name.
I actually like that name. That's a sweet name.
I wonder if he was braggadocious. That's what I want to know.
Probably not, because...
Probably not the last day he wasn't.
Obviously, he was a man of virtue.
Yeah, I mean...
Because he was a martyr.
Yeah. So there were witnesses who did say they heard him whispering a Latin prayer under his breath as he was being skinned alive.
The dude was
he wouldn't give up his page. Yeah, I mean, pretty...
A heroic, virtuous man.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I'm going to start invoking...
Saint Bernard.
Braggadocious.
Saint
Bragadino.
I don't know that he's a saint.
Yeah, I don't know if he... Well, I mean, if he's a martyr...
That doesn't mean he's a saint.
It means that he's... It doesn't necessarily mean he's a canonized saint.
His outlook is good.
His outlook is very good.
But just because someone appears to be a martyr doesn't mean that they actually are. Like, they could have despaired of their death, at the end.
Yeah.
I mean...
That'd be your luck.
I take it back.
I'd be over here praying for you, dude.
Thank you. Thank you.
I got your back.
last segment. What do you guys want to get?
Yeah, last segment. Let's focus on.
Yeah. We're
We're
gonna.
good. I think we're on track.
Yeah.
Shockingly, Juan, I think that the story has progressed to where we can actually get finished with this story without rushing it too much.
Any comments?
No. Great story.
Thank you. Great story.
It's like
Kathy's are big.
what?
I wrote that story.
Dave is like a storyteller for all like children. He's like, there's this dude and this other dude, and these two dudes don't like each other, and so these dudes hit each other, and one of the dudes beat the other dude and killed him.
Dude, you should have.
Was
So
it sort of Cain and
I
Abel?
did. I
Was
did.
that Cain and Abel?
It's like it's like, okay, I get it.
I did tell the story of the Battle of Lepanto to my little girls today, and it's like, it was pretty sweet. It's like, man, I have the ability to summarize. That is just one of my gifts.
Remind me, I got nightmares tonight.
All right, let's keep going. Juan. Let's
No, I don't think so. It's a story of
'cause
victory.
it's a victory. It's a story of victory.
Whoop up. Welcome back to the Catholic Men Show. I'm David Niles. We're on the Lord's team, the victorious side. So raise your glass. You see what I did there, Adam?
No.
Our Lady of Victory.
Ah,
We're on the victorious side.
glad you told me. It would have gone right past me.
My father-in-law is really pushing if we have another girl to name her Victoria.
Well, you
Also, the Nile River. I can't remember if it begins. I think it starts from Lake Victoria.
no kidding.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
that's kind of cool too.
It's the only river that also goes up.
Goes up, huh?
Yeah, from south to north.
That is peculiar.
Mm-hmm.
What about in the southern hemisphere? I would imagine that they have some that go up.
I don't know. I just remember that.
I'm guessing. I'm just guessing.
I don't know that.
Yeah.
I was. I did have
We have a southern
A public-
hemispherian here.
a public.
Is that right? Are you a
education.
southern? Has anyone ever
Let's
used
focus.
that word?
Let's focus on Lepanto.
Okay, so Pope Saint
No.
Pope Saint Pius V.
Yes.
During the 6th year of his reign, he promulgated a lot of things. Like, this was a sweet pope. Okay, he promulgated the Council of Trent. He published the works of St. Thomas Aquinas. He issued the Roman Catechism and a new missal and breviary, created 21 cardinals, excommunicated Queen Elizabeth. Booyah! Not every day you get to excommunicate a monarch. And aided by St. Charles Borromeo, led the reform of soft and degenerate clergy.
Borromeo is I believe, a doctor of the church that is very much overlooked. That dude.
Underrated. Overlooked and underrated.
Yes.
Over and under.
All right.
Okay, so that's the Pope we're dealing with. He was like, sometimes a time arises where we need a man to rise up. A certain man. Pope Paul V was this certain man, okay?
Mm-hmm.
God,
Pious.
Pope Pius. I'm sure Pope Paul V was good. We haven't even had a Pope Paul V. Anyway, so March 7th, 1571, on the feast of his fellow Dominican, St. Thomas Aquinas, he launched the Holy League, okay? So the Holy League was Spain, Italy, the Papal States, which is kind of like today, that's part of Italy. And it was Italy, and then it was conquered by the Masons. God, those guys. The Freemasons.
We should do a
holy
topic on the Freemasons someday.
The Freemasons.
Okay, keep going.
Getting in the way. Anyway, Vienna didn't want to join. They're like, because once again, they were more concerned about their economy. They were going to lose this big trading partner. Anyway, they did, like I said, France was trading with the Turks. Like, for instance, the oars on the Turkish galleys, a galley is what they called their boats back then, because they're open top. It was just like a big platform that you rode around. The cannons on their boats were all from French design, so, like, this is a big deal that the French are not on board, because the French are a big Catholic country. And he names, Pope Pius V names Don Juan of Austria, or Don John of
He wasn't he a step son or brother
half brother to the
half-brother.
King of Spain,
Yes.
and the illegitimate son of the previous Holy Roman Emperor.
Okay.
Saint John of Austria. He was BA.
Okay.
Like the most interesting man in the world. You know, like there was that one commercial where he has like a puma or something in the kitchen, and he's telling it to get off the counter.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically him. Okay. Since childhood, he had a deep devotion to Our Lady. So obviously that's awesome. He spoke all kinds of languages. Let me see where that is, because this part is just super, super awesome.
He did Latin.
Oh, he spoke like Latin, French, but most importantly, he had. Oh, here it is. He spoke Latin, French, Italian, Spanish. Kept a pet marmoset and a lion cub that slept at the foot of his bed.
Wow.
He had a frickin' lion in his bedroom. Okay, and that's at the age of 24. All those languages.
I haven't even had a pet lion yet, and
And
he's
he's
33.
Right. You missed it. I feel like you missed out.
The window has closed.
Also, like this first world country, you might end up in jail if they find a lion in the house.
I think so.
So anyway, and now he's the supreme commander of the Holy League. So it's up to him to get this all going together. So on September 16th, they sailed for Cyprus. Before they did, he's just like so awesome. He had all the men fast for 3 days.
I think that's an important part because obviously he invokes the name of Mary. He asks everybody to pray. They didn't even take him to the confession ahead of time.
So each boat had 1 or 2 priests on it. Going into battle even. The priests are there as chaplains. Hearing
awesome.
confession.
Let me tell you, if I was going into battle, I would want a priest on my ship.
Right. Offering general absolution, it's like watching everybody get
Apostolic
slaughtered.
pardon, here we come.
They also brought like valuable icons on their boat.
That's awesome.
So exactly 40 years before this happened, Mary appeared to a man in in Mexico.
You're not talking about Our Lady of Guadalupe, are you?
I am. And on his tilma, she imprinted this image. 5 copies were made of this image at the time. One of them was on one of the galleys for the Holy League. And I'm kind of skipping ahead there, but that's okay. So they all got on. They were going to sail for Cyprus. The thing is that they didn't know Famagusta had fallen. That other city they didn't know that yet because it was kind of far away.
Okay.
Paul V had granted the plenary indulgence to the soldiers. He did declare this a crusade.
Okay.
So anybody who went would get this. And back then that was a really big deal. Priests of the great orders, the Franciscan, Capuchins, Dominicans, Jesuits were all stationed on the decks of the galleys. They were offering mass and confession. They all had mass beforehand. Many of the people who were rowing. So back then you did have sails, but your primary motor was rowing, and so they were criminals. And most of the time the criminals would be chained up. If you've ever seen the movie Ben-Hur, like you're chained up, and if the boat goes down, you're gonna die because you're chained to the boat. Okay. Right. Well, Don Juan, he's like, nah, we got to set these guys free. So he had them all unchained and issued them a weapon. Which is like, you don't do that. These are your slaves. They'll revolt against you.
But didn't he say, if you guys fight bravely, you'll be set free?
Yeah, he promised them their freedom if they would fight with bravery. And he gave each man in his fleet a more powerful weapon than anything the Turks could muster, a rosary. Everyone was issued a rosary. So on the eve of battle, the men of the Holy League, they're preparing their souls. They're praying on the galleys, praying the rosary. Back in Rome, all up and down the peninsula, the Pope had ordered all of the monasteries and the abbeys and the convents to pray the rosary. So, I mean, the rosary is it's central, which is, why we get the Feast of the Rosary. At some point, Don Juan, he's in council. He says, all these people advising him, he says, gentlemen, the time for council has passed. Now it is time for war. So on the dawn, the morning of October 7th, 1571, they rode into battle. The Armada, it was weird back then. Basically, you just took your boat, you rammed it into another boat, and then you jumped onto their boat and you tried to kill everybody, and then you get back on your boat and you try to ram into somebody else. So it was like totally it was really,
chaotic.
it was like having a land battle out there on your boats. It's like, guys, can we just all go back to shore and we can do this like men? But
Right.
you're out there like rowing into each other.
The epic part was that we came in stationed as a cross.
Right, yes.
And the Muslims came in as a crescent.
Crescent moon. So it's like, here was like your shape
Christian-
versus our shape.
Yeah, and we came in and just went and
Yeah.
blew them up.
Yeah, they tried to flank us, and like we had the pieces of the cross. So like the left piece of the cross, the right piece of the cross were commanded by different people. Don Juan, he was in the middle. They had these two huge boats that were actually merchant boats that they had converted, put cannons on them and stuff. They weren't very fast, but very heavily armed.
Sure.
And then he had some people who were behind him they were actually like what do you call them when you're paid to be there, paid to fight? Mercenaries. So anyway, they go into battle. And they're on Don Juan. He's on one of these big ships, and the main other big ship for the Muslims. They're fighting, and they're going back and forth, back and forth. Finally, Don Juan leads the third charge, and he gets injured in the leg. But the head general for the other guy gets shot in the head, and one of the criminals that they had set free went and chopped his head off and brought it to him on a spit. And Don was like, "I don't want that. Throw it in the ocean." So that's what they did. They threw it in the ocean, and they captured the flag. So there was this very, very important flag. It had Muhammad's name written on it like 20,000 times or something. It was thousands and thousands of times, 28,900 times in gold leaf. And tradition had it that this was the very flag that was brought into battle by the Prophet Muhammad. Okay, so this flag was like a big deal to them. So when the Muslims saw it go down, they were terrified. All the same, at the end of the day, the battle lasted 5 hours. Nearly 300 Turkish vessels, all except for 13, were captured or sunk. 300,000 Turks were slain, and it wouldn't be until the First World War that many people would die in a battle. So 5 hours, 300 Turks. That doesn't count the Christians. I mean, and that's sad. I mean,
Right.
we're not trying to glorify like the amount of death.
Right.
But it was an epic battle. Oh, but most importantly, at the beginning of the battle, the Christians are rowing into the wind. So they've got all their sails down. And this is the dawn. The battle's about to begin, and they're having to face the wind. But all of a sudden, as they're in formation heading towards the Turk, the wind does a 180. And now all of a sudden the wind is behind the Christians, and so the Turks have to drop their sails, and it's a huge huge advantage. Without that happening, the battle would not have been won. Without this battle being won by the Christians, you would not be speaking English right now. You would be speaking Aramaic or Arabic.
Turk.
You'd be speaking Arabic. Christianity would not exist.
Yeah, and that's why you have an army of people praying the Rosary. You can conquer anything.
That's right.
So pray the Rosary with your family. Invoke our Holy Mother. We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass. You didn't do cheers to Jesus.
You're right.
Yeah, it's on your shirt. You can just read it if they're watching.
Man, I'm so glad I didn't forget the wind part. That would have been like people would have been so mad. It's like you didn't even talk about the change of the wind.
That was your guardian angel.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guardian angel really came
The
through
other
there.
thing that did them in was the
Randall, we did not pull it from Wikipedia, by the way. Randall was...
Zero of this is from Wikipedia. Most of it's from Christopher Check and Census Fidelium.
so the Turks had Christian rowing slaves.
Right, yeah, and thousands of Christian slaves were set free. And, oh man, I really wanted to get to this stuff too, but I'll just talk about it now. So, some interesting facts about the battle. Once again, this is all from Christopher Check, so you can go read it yourself too if you want. There was a young contemporary of Don Juan, was named Miguel Cervantes.
Oh.
He fought with abandon and lost his left hand to a Turkish blade. However, with his remaining hand, he later penned Spain's greatest novel, Don Quixote.
Don Quixote.
It's okay.
Don Quixote.
He fought there?
Yeah, he lost his left hand in this battle.
It's okay, honey. I still have my good arm to hold ya.
Hey, can you talk a little bit about like
Tombstone reference.
Yeah.
Boom. You didn't think we could connect the dots of Tombstone and Lepanto? It's been done.
What were you going to say, Juan?
why was the island important? Like, what was at stake? Is it strategically or?
Oh, did I not say that part?
I mean,
There was
But
wine. That's
the
where his
wine.
favorite
Yeah.
wine came from.
yeah, but okay. So what?
Oh, well, really, that's the first was like Malta was that island. So Cyprus didn't have the tactical advantage that Malta did. That's why they were trying to take Malta in the first place. That's like the pretext part that I didn't really go into.
Okay.
Malta was like a small island that basically nothing grows on it. It doesn't rain like the soil is junk. You can't really grow much there. So the number of people that this island can support on its own is very, very, very small.
Mm-hmm.
But it's right there in this pivotal part of the sea where you could have this great base to like send out your ships from, and it has a great harbor.
And it is all about the base.
It's all about the base. In some situations, it is all about the base.
You'll have
so-
no trouble.
But that was not Cyprus. He conquered Cyprus simply so he could have his free wine. And so it's like this whole thing starts from a lack of moderation. Oh, also, like 5 years after the battle, that Selim II, who wanted the free wine, after finishing a bottle of wine, he was drunk and slipped and hit his head on the floor and died. He died from
It's very interesting.
He
men-
died from the thing that he desired most, like inordinately.
It's very interesting. The men, or people in general, I guess, who have a disordered appetite towards wine, typically have a disordered appetite in the sexual realm as well. Like, lust and
Yeah.
food and drink
Yeah, the food.
typically goes hand in hand. Not all the time. That's a broad brush, but you understand what I'm saying.
So on one of the Christian galleys during the battle, there was a soldier of the Holy League who despaired.
There's a dude that despaired in the Holy League?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of the soldiers.
Yeah.
But I don't know what kind of despair you have to be to do what he did. He took his sword to the ship's crucifix. Like, what are you doing? Like, if you think you're going to die, so you go and you take your sword to the crucifix? Like, well, anyway, when he did that, his blade instantly shattered.
No kidding.
And many years later, an attempt was made to reforge that sword. But when the new blade was pulled from the fire, it fell into pieces.
Wow.
Yeah. That's like
It's just
That's like a
mind-blowing.
legend. Like, is that true? I don't know, maybe, but it probably is.
It's just mind-blowing how our mother has interceded for us so many times. And I know it's easy for us to talk about this story and not really put ourselves in the situation and understand the gravity of the situation.
Yeah.
And like how crazy it is that we were outnumbered, that over and over again, all the odds are stacked up against the Christians.
Right.
We invoke our mother's name and we win.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, that's just, I don't know. It's just hard for me to wrap my mind around that because we've never been in that situation.
And especially, let's talk specifically here. We're talking about with Muslims. I've heard many people say that it's believed that Mary will be instrumental in the conversion of the Muslims.
Mhm.
So, and here she is, like, she and the
Continually.
Muslims are linked. Yeah, Our Lady of Fatima, or Fatima, as they say. And here she is, like, being the instrument of their defeat.
Mm-hmm.
Here, stopping them from, and so, I think she'll be the instrument of their conversion as well. I've heard why people say that, and it makes. They also have a regard for Mary. She's in the Quran.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a couple other things. The crucifix aboard the Real, that was the main ship that Don Juan was on, from Austria. Every ship had a crucifix on it, like on the front, kind of, or maybe not in the front, because some of them were just boats that they retrofitted, but his did. And it actually twisted itself to avoid a cannonball.
Wow.
The crucifix did, and it's still on display at the chapel, the Cathedral of Barcelona. You can actually Google it, and it's not like super twisted, but like instead of him being straight up and down, he's like this. He's off to the side, to avoid a cannonball. And that's not how he was when they started the battle. And wood doesn't just stretch like
Mark
that.
Ortiz made a good point. He says, and our mother of Guadalupe, she's standing on a black crescent moon. Check it out.
Totally, she is. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, point to it.
Does that help? Oh yeah, look at that. You can see it. Anyway, Gianandrea Doria carried on his galley a gift, and I said this earlier, a gift from the King of Spain, an image that is now displayed in the Doria Chapel in the Cathedral of Genoa. Exactly 40 years before the Battle of Lepanto, the Blessed Virgin appeared to a peasant boy, leaving a miraculous image of herself on his smock. The bishop of the region immediately commissioned an artist to paint 5 copies of the image, and he touched each of them to the original. And one of those that was at the Battle of Lepanto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's just it's just awesome how, going up against impossible odds, like you said, vastly outnumbered.
That's why it's so important for men to be praying the Rosary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you think that we have issues within the church and our culture and things like that.
Yeah.
We don't have Muslims that are. I mean, I guess we do actually have Muslims that are attacking certain Christian people, but
all over.
All over. But we can.
I also think it's important for us men to no longer just sit around and not call a spade a spade. Islam is not a peaceful religion. It is evil, and it needs to be called that. That doesn't mean that Muslims themselves are not peaceful and that they are evil, but their religion is. Okay? That doesn't mean that they are, but their religion is. And to say otherwise is doing harm to the truth and just to the world. I mean, because if we think that this religion wouldn't do it again, we're all wrong. We're all fools. I mean, well, they did it on 9/11. I mean, that's a relatively small thing as opposed to invading the entire Western culture like they're trying to do. And they're still trying to do it. They wouldn't do it today in the same way they did back then. But the way that they would do it today and are doing it, I believe, is slowly, methodically, little by little.
And reproducing.
Yeah, and out reproducing.
Which isn't hard.
You're right. I mean, that's one of those things I'm surprised it's hard to get people to do. Anyway.
Well, we're having our 4th.
Yeah, so are we.
Yeah. You just made the announcement.
Yeah.
For the first time.
Yeah, my wife's pregnant. Pamela's pregnant. High five.
Yeah. Very nice.
Numero 4.
Woo.
Yeah. Take that, Muslims. Once again, I'm talking about the religion, not
itself.
the people.
Right.
You have to keep saying that. People are sensitive.
Right.
All right. Well,
that was awesome. So right now, Juan's wife, Dave's wife, and my wife are all pregnant. It's epic.
I'm not.
Jim's wife is not pregnant. He made that very clear.
It happens a lot in the Bible, dude. I'm just saying.
Yeah. It happens. It happens a lot.
Have you asked?
My name is not Methuselah.
I would ask. I'd give Kathy just be like, hey, just double checking.
Her name's not Sarah, correct?
No.
It's Kathy.
All right.
Just saying. All right. Juan is telling us we have to go. All right. You guys are done. They said, is it the whiskey or the water?